Hey Nikki, I have just a few minutes tonight to get this video out for you, just so we can keep rolling here with the final two bosses. Once these final two bosses are done, we're gonna have something that is like really, really close to being done. At that point, it'd just be a few little odds and ends to round out, and then music and sound effects and all that stuff. So, can't wait to get these done. Thanks again for the sword sprites. They look really, really good. I got them implemented. I still have some tweaking to do with them, but I just have no time. I'm so busy with so many things right now in my life, but I wanted to get this out. So basically, this guy, the boss 4, um, he's basically your typical classic big top-down shooter boss. And what's cool about this guy is he's a big sprite, but um, he doesn't. You don't even see him fully. You don't even see his back end. So I wanted to do that classic, big boss type enemy where you don't even really see his back end. So we really only need 3 animations here. We need flying, um, spawn minion, and then aggro. And then death animation is just going to be, I'm going to probably just do the same thing as aggro and just run the frames really fast so he kind of like twitches all over the place while the explosions are going. So we really only need 3. And we'll go back to our same thing that we have been doing just to make sure we don't even need a shooting animation where we have these big pulsing orbs. Anywhere a bullet gets created, they'll be continuously pulsating, and that way we won't even have to do a shooting animation. Just to simplify things. So, it doesn't. I'm going to leave a lot of this up to your artistic, you know, um, abilities and what you kind of think, or your interpretation of what you might think. I don't want this to. It doesn't have to look like the front of a big spaceship. It could even almost look like, picture like almost like a fortress towered wall or something. But anyway, I mean, it's essentially going to be a big freaking mothership. You won't even see the end of it. I mean, we're definitely going to want some movement in this as far as like an up and down bob. So it should have some up and down bob. I don't want it to be just this static thing. I definitely want it to have some kind of motion. So the size of this is 980. It's got a really big width, by 350 height. And what makes up a lot of this height is these guns here, and they don't even have to be that long. These could be way smaller than this. I'm gonna leave like a lot of this shape. I mean, mainly the width. The width has got to be right, be the 980, just because I want to make sure it spans the entire width of the screen. And then I'll center it in. I think that my screen size is actually 960, so 980 is even a little bit big. It can be a little bit smaller than that, but definitely not any smaller than 960. 965, I think, would probably be perfect. That way I can overlap it on both sides, just to make sure we don't have any clipping on the sides, and make sure it spans the entire width. But you can do whatever you want to in here. The regular flying animation is I'm going to be creating bullets at random integers out of here where my mouse is, where this area is red, and then this area is going to be red, and then I'm going to have 2 blasters in the front here. And like I said, they don't even have to be this long. If you wanted to cut this off like here-ish, and make some like cannons here and here, or however you want to like do it. It can look like something more like that, but these guys need to be constantly pulsating because I'm going to create bullets out of here randomly, and randomly here. And then however these things kind of look as far as blasters, I'm going to do another one here, but this one's not going to be firing. That's going to be saved for later. So I'm not creating any bullets out of here yet, but it should look like something could eventually, a bullet could be created out of. So like these guys will be constantly pulsating and, basically just glowing and flashing. And then same thing with right here. And that's the one animation with a bob up and down. And I want this thing, since it's a large sprite, it should bob up and down, up and down, up and down, a decent amount, just to give it a good amount of volume. I don't want it to be so slight that it doesn't seem like it's moving. I think if you give it a nice long like bob up and down, nice like arc, slow bob up and down with a nice arc on it, it'll give some really good movement to a large sprite. And then the one other thing that this boss does that's actually really cool is it spawns minions. I have the the little flamethrower, or like the little spiral flame enemies in this game that kind of home in on the player. I'm not going to spawn them at any point during this level like I normally was in the past 3 levels, because I'm saving this variety for the boss. Now, so what's going to happen is, and this should be prevalent too, like right here, this should look like some kind of trap door. That's one thing I need to go over. This should be some kind of door mechanism or something that looks like it could open or flap open. Because the other animation is this stuff is going to be exactly the same here. All of this stuff is not changing at all, because I'm still creating the bullets out of here at the same random integers. Everything should stay the same. You can just take the exact same sprite with the exact same bob up and down, but then we want to like make flaps that open here. And, to make this look really good and to make this look better in an easier way, I don't want this to be like a 3-dimensional like black space and then have the enemy come out, because it'd just be more difficult for me to program. I want this boss to be like almost a true 100% top-down view, and just picture like a door flipping like open, like completely flipping open like that. And then the enemy will just all of a sudden come out from below it. So just picture like a door flapping up, and then enemies spawn out of here. But these bullets all remain exactly the same. The only thing that's different about this animation frame is that this door opens. And then I'll show you with the placeholders here. I'm going to fight the enemy here in a second. And you can fight the enemy too if you wanted to. It's there. In the game that's uploaded right now. Then here's going to be like the one that's more difficult. Once it gets to a certain point, I want so right now we're going to have these enemies spawning out of these little doors, and they're not really going to be spawning very often. Once it gets to a certain point, this is what's going to be difficult. And I know this is going to be pretty tough for you to draw. This is where this enemy gets a little tricky. I want to get it so the front of this ship gets completely like busted up and broken. Really busted up, really broken. You can see I have everything. I don't know why I can't draw right now on this, but everything is really just all broken. And then I want there to be like, I know it's going to be difficult, but some kind of smoke or sparks or something. I want it to look like you completely just destroyed the front end of this ship. And at that point, I'm going to have the little minions be spawning, at more frequent intervals from not just where they were spawning before. Before they were spawning just at these doors. Once the whole front end of this ship is all busted up, they'll be spawning out of this, entirely, almost like, all the little ships were back here waiting to go through like the little doors. But once the front end's all busted up, they can kind of swarm out at much faster integers. And then we'll have this one will still go. This orb will always be pulsating the entire round. And then all of a sudden this guy's going to become active. So let me just play the guy for you. Actually, I probably should go to Newgrounds and play it, because it just runs better on Newgrounds. Alright, let's get this all centered in. And let's beef our guy up a little bit. Everything is looking good. I fixed the little glitches with the buttons that I was having before. Alright. I'll go 15 with this guy. Actually, never hurts to be nice and powerful. So anyway, we'll go to the boss here. It is level 4 boss. So you can see as the guy comes down, actually I don't want to kill this guy too quick. So there's, you can see I got lasers kind of coming out. He's got bullets kind of coming out like crazy. But I mean, as long as we've got everything pulsating. Now here, see how the door just opened and how the flying guys kind of went underneath of them? Here, I'll show you. It'll come again. It's coming soon. Here come the doors. And right... Oh, there's a couple. There you go. See how the doors open and the little guys come out underneath of the door. And you can even see it again in a little bit. It's going to come out soon. Ready, and you can see right there. So the door's open, and then I'm going to have these enemies kind of pop out underneath of the door. So I don't want it to be like a three-dimensional like black like hole there where I'd have to like fade the enemy in. I want it to just be like a trapdoor that flaps completely open, and then I'll spawn the guy underneath of it. As you can see, the HUD is all working properly, and you see how it all blinks when I have my special, and then boom, when I use the special, it doesn't blink. All the animation frames are working really well here. So it's a pretty cool boss. I mean, you know, it's definitely got some little sweet spot areas, you know, that you can kind of hide from taking damage, and I played this guy a million times, so I know where all those areas are. So, you know, you can kind of hide and dodge from the guy this way, and so the, you know, the goal of this is just to, you know, find little sweet spots where you can avoid taking damage from the boss, and then, you know, come in. I might tweak the difficulty just a little bit, although, you know, since it's really, like I said, it's always really hard for me to judge difficulty with my games, just because I play them so much. You know, I find this guy to be really easy just because I know I programmed him, you know, so if I keep him the same. So here we go. It's going to go into its damage stage pretty soon, and you'll see the changes that are made. So now he's damaged. So you can see now the attack patterns switch. Bullets start getting created everywhere. There's more homing bullets, and more minions get spawned, and they spawn from pretty much anywhere now instead of being spawned through the doors. And, you know, that's it. I mean, I think that the hardest part by far of this sprite is going to be this stage, and getting the front end to be damaged looking enough, and getting smoke. I mean, maybe if we can do some kind of smoke or fire effect that maybe is even a different actor type, and then I can just spawn it. Like, you can follow my mouse here if you can see it. Like, I can just spawn like a different actor of fireball or whatever, you know, all the way at that, you know, in random integers along that, and then you can see he just died. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's definitely going to be the hardest part of that sprite, is going to be like that damaged area. So let me know what you think about this guy. I mean, it's a big sprite. Oh, and definitely get me a price for the sword. They look really, really good. I don't have that uploaded yet, but because I wanted to tweak, and I actually am tweaking a lot of stuff, but I just don't have much time right now. So let me know what you think about this guy, and I'd really be curious, because once we get him done, we can do the final boss, and then we'll be really close to getting the Flash version done. All right, man. Later.